You're watching CN2 News. Two Chester County principals wanted to make a difference during the pandemic. They started Create and Educate LLC to help educators and parents during some tough times. They're focusing on literacy and leadership. CN2's Raelle Jackson has more on how they're helping the community.
Create and Educate, we are a consulting firm that works with educators as well as entrepreneurs. So with the side where we're working with educators, we offer professional development on literacy as well as implicit bias. We work with leaders and leadership teams to help improve schools.
They've been surviving pandemic education by offering tips for school leaders, teachers, and parents.
We really want to see kids through the trajectory, graduating from high school, ready to go to college or to start a career or to go into the military.
Create and Educate has multiple community partners in the area that read books to children weekly, discuss literature, and express their support for the education system. Recently, the owners were featured for Amazon's #1 best-selling book entitled Women Who Lead in Education.
And so we are super, super excited because we're amongst a family of women leaders who are absolutely extraordinary. So it's an honor to have been asked to participate. And then even more of an honor now that the book has gone on sale and it became a #1 bestseller. So you don't have to be a school leader to have leadership qualities.
Collectively, both Tammy Taylor, principal of Great Falls Elementary, and Dr. Sheikah Houston, principal of Chester Middle School, have 40 years of service in education. They have learned the need in their community, and they plan to
serve all children in all communities. And one of the things that we enlighten people about in our professional development with literacy is that sometimes it's hard for children to connect to text because they don't see themselves in text. Providing that culturally relevant literature for students, and that's not just African American students, that's all students. Every student at every school should be able to see themselves in a book, in a text, to be able to connect with it.
Surviving pandemic education together in Chester, Raelle Jackson, CN2 News.
Again, their goal is to help connect educators, parents, community members, and authors each week to help better navigate the pandemic. To learn more about Create and Educate LLC, simply follow them on Facebook or at their website at createandeducate.com.
Create and Educate held their first personal event after a year of completely virtual events. The organization started during the pandemic, and their goal was to create a way to educate students, teachers, and families virtually during their Lunch and Learn event. Teachers, university experts, leaders, and educators speaking about ways to prepare students since the pandemic.
It has been very difficult. Some teachers have decided to leave the profession as well as leaders. So we know that education is something that all of our children need. We want to be able to build resilience in our leaders and our teachers so that our education system will be resilient as well.
We needed to provide the space for some dialogue on how we move forward from here and how we can shift where we are in education so that as we move forward, we're moving forward and we are not just trying to do school as usual, but truly looking for some new and innovative ideas for what's going to take us to that next level.
Create and Educate also celebrating its 1-year anniversary.
Josh Tovar and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go! The collaborative. 1, 2, 1, 2. The collaborative. What's that time? On Facebook Tuesday at 7. The collaborative. Who we have? Come on. We have our leaders. We have our teachers and our parents. We have our authors. Story time at the end. Solving problems in our education system. Phenomenal women. Join them on Facebook. On Facebook Tuesday living. The collaborative.
It's that time. You will Sheikah and Tammy.
The collaborative.
Phenomenal ladies. It's educational. Here on the Facebook. The collaborative.
The collaborative.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hi, Tammy.
Hey, Sheikah, how are you? Hello,
Doing well.
everyone. Thank you guys for joining us for this first Tuesday edition of The Collaborative. We're so excited to have you all with us. We have some wonderful guests that we can't wait to introduce you to this evening. And just again, want to say thank you for the support that you always provide to us by joining us and following up and watching each of the episodes that we try to bring forward again to put forth that collaborative spirit and to unify that existing chasm that sometimes is there between educators and parents and students. So thank you so much. Remember, on the first Tuesdays, we come live to you with a featured guest, and each of the other Tuesdays, we will have a linked story time for you to be a part of, and we will share more about that before we end this evening. Thanks again for joining us.
Yes, and please let us know if you are an educator, a parent, community member, or if you're an author. Tell us where you're from. Our goal is to make sure that we're collaborating and bringing voices together, as Tammy stated, because if we are in silos, we can't hear one another's voices. We can't solve a lot of the problems that we need to solve in education. And our goal is to make sure that this is a phenomenal experience for all involved. Our students, our communities will be better, and our leaders and teachers will also be better for it as well. So thank you all again, as Tammy stated, for joining us. And please share us on your page, invite others. Don't keep us all to yourself. Someone may gather some great information from the two phenomenal guests that we have joining us tonight. And as you all know, we are an education show. So we always start off with on this day in history. And on this day in history, on January 4th, Andrew Rube Foster organized the first Black baseball league, which was the Negro National League. And if you tune in to Principal Kafele on Saturdays at 10:55, right after Tammy and I conduct the Real Academy, he always wears, in honor of the Negro League, a Negro League jersey. So if you ever tune in to him, you'll be able to see those. And also, my dad loved baseball. My husband played baseball, and my very first major league experience was a Cleveland Indians game where I was part of the Spur Club. We rode the Amtrak train over to the stadium, and that's something I'll never forget. I was in elementary school, but those field experiences are things that children always take with them.
Exactly. I bet that was such a fun experience.
It was.
Yes. And see, I grew up in the house with three brothers where sports is just what we did. So whatever the sport, I really, truly enjoy it. I've only gone to one major league game, though, and that was at Fenway Park, which is like this incredible experience, but just love it. And saluting Principal Kafele for honoring those Negro League players that he does every week.
Most definitely. And we do, as I stated, have two phenomenal guests with us this week. We're going to bring them up, and Tammy's going to start off with introductions.
Yes. So we are so stoked to have none other than Natasha Witherspoon and Principal Josh Tovar with us this evening. And we are so excited for them to share with you because we learn so much from both of them. And this experience, and I wanted to just make sure Sheikah talked about how this is something we want to ensure that we're helping you to learn and to grow, but we want you to know how much we learn and grow from the experience as well. So no further ado here, I am going to bring on Josh Tovar, who is a principal in Texas, one of the most inspirational leaders that we know. We captured one of Josh's favorite quotes, and he says this frequently. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. He does such a phenomenal job of leveraging social media to make sure his school is featured throughout the story, and you get to know the school through Josh and his social media, the way that he promotes what happens at a school, and is totally on fire for his Jaguars. We want you, Josh, though, to please tell the listeners a little bit more about who Principal Josh Tovar is, and welcome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. It's my honor to be here with you all. I've been an avid follower of you all for quite a while right now, and it's one of those things that, and I always say this: iron sharpens iron, and we're only learning from each other here. Whether you be in South Carolina, whether I'm in Texas, I don't know where Natasha's from, but you know what? We're all facing the same obstacles in life right now. It doesn't matter, and I said this always: it doesn't matter if you're a charter school, if you're a public school, if you're a pre-K school, if you're a university, we're all facing the same adversity with COVID. And so it's one of those situations that we can only grow stronger together by venues like this. My mind is blown by your introduction. That is great work. Hey, thumbs up. Natasha, isn't that a thumbs up? Did you feel that? I felt it. I'm still wow. But I'm a proud principal here at Memorial Pathway Garland ISD, Garland, USA. North Dallas, and we're located on a campus with approximately 240 kids, and it's a two set of cohorts of students, and they're brand new students that come to the country. So if you hear about all the kids that walk from El Salvador and Nicaragua and from Mexico and they cross to the United States, they're here. If you saw all those kids from Afghanistan that we collected right before we departed, they're here. Kids from Vietnam, kids from Africa. There's 6 current languages at this campus, and it's our job to prepare them the best that we can before they hop into a comprehensive campus. So it's normally a half semester, a whole year that they're here in immersion of their second language. And the other part of our home is also our non-traditional side, which is it's one of those things, like I always say, I was that kid, a non-traditional kid who was a ditcher, who never went to school. I'm not proud of it, but I learned from my mistakes. I was one of those at-risk kids that never showed up at all. And thank God that he have state testing back then, because I would have been on the 7-year plan in high school. Let me tell you, I was out of school so much. I made so many obstacles. But this campus is also designed for the kids that can't be successful on a comprehensive school. A teen parent, a student got involved with gangs, a student that just had divorce issues. So this school is comprised of really RTI level 3 students, but it can only be enhanced with the love of this team. The team members that work at MPA are fabulous educators, because every single last student here is at the lowest level of RTI. I mean, we need the most hands-on, engaging. And you know what? As you said, Tammy, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you know where they live? They live right here. This is where our audience is. Our audience is right here. Not with you all, not with me. People just have Facebook, or some people just have Instagram. The kids are on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. They're everywhere. My customer needs to know that we care about them and that we'll always enhance the positivity that is this campus. And what we try to promote together as a familia is making sure that this is their blue Linus blanket. So when they're here, they're going to be safe for 8 hours to make sure they learn English or they earn their diploma. We already have 32 students, 32 that have graduated with a high school diploma when they would not have done it at the comprehensive school. So I appreciate you letting me talk about Memorial Pathway Academy.
And thank you, Josh, so much for joining us.
Yes, and they could not have picked a better leader for that school, Josh, because you do a phenomenal job of, making sure that that story is told and all the positive things that you all have going on. So we know that those students who need that level of support in tier 3, they need the most support. We know that you all are provided, and we can see it as you show us, through your posting. So great job to you and your staff.
For sure. And sometimes, Josh, those are the kids who don't get the recognition that they truly deserve.
Right.
And you're really doing great work, and we appreciate what you do.
Yes. And also joining us is Miss Natasha Witherspoon. She is here in South Carolina with us. She is a mom. She's the founder of Moms Against Racism, the founder of Moms Against Racism International, and she's also the editor-in-chief of Shift Magazine, where Tammy and I were also featured there. And it was an honor to be featured, and it's also on our website.
We appreciate you.
Yes, so and she just is a phenomenal marketing queen. I love all of her work and everything she's done with In Africa, your event that you have planned. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Natasha, and welcome.
Thank you. Wow, sister, that was Principal Tovar. I mean, they are killing it with these. Yes.
Thank you all.
It's so much joy to hear that affirmation and to see some of the things unfold in your life. And so thank you so much for that warm introduction. And I too am very, very much so a follower of the collaborative and the great work that both you and Principal Taylor do in this space. And I've been over here just sharing and and all the pages. So pardon me, I was in and out, but I definitely want to make sure that we broaden your reach so everyone can know about the great work that you are doing with Create and Educate LLC. It's amazing, and it's so much so needed during these times. And so yeah, I mean, I really have not been afforded to have a lot of hands-on experience like Principal Tovar and yourself, Dr. Houston, and Principal Taylor with students per se. I am a mom, and so two awesome boys to enter into the educational system and to the public school system starting next year. So they're in 4K now and kindergarten. And so it's just one of those experiences for me as a mom to take a step back and look at the awesome opportunities that they do have in the midst of so many challenges that we see within our education system. So I will start with, Moms Against Racism, and the whole inspiration behind that really does stem from motherhood and my two boys, and just understanding that there are some unprecedented times that we're living in now that unfortunately will still be around whenever they are the age of the George Floyd, Tamir Rice, all of the, the Emmett Tills, as they grow and, progress and understand their place in society, it's very important for me as a mom to protect them and to love them and to educate them. And so to make sure that I'm on the forefront of that, I've taken this step to start this organization where I can cultivate and as well as just uplift the community that I'm in with knowledge and understanding of some of the social injustices that we face within shockingly, in our households. We have, right? And then also within our community. So our mission is to unify our parenting skills by teaching anti-racism within our households and communities. We do this through many advocacy outlets, and one of them happens to be education advocacy. And we have an awesome director, Dr. Abigail Prang, who leads Future First Education. And that division of Moms Against Racism really focuses on equitable teaching and closing the divide. Awesome work there. They do circle times. I know probably in 15 minutes, they're going to hop on and do a circle time really geared towards Black History Month and making sure that we teach truth in education, how we can equip our educators to understand what's happening within the households and how we're doing our part as parents, as moms, as dads, as those that are in mothering roles, and making sure that we are not just informing ourselves, but also equipping our children. So that organization has been such a gift to me, and we're doing great things. And so I'm so, so grateful that you've given us this platform just to speak to you today. And I'm here to support whatever it is that you are doing here in South Carolina.
Well, thank you so much for your awesome work with that. And just as a mom, you know, I always say as an educator, parents are our children's first teachers. So I love what you all are doing. I hope that you all are connecting because I know that you're an international organization with schools through the PTA, through the School Improvement Council, because this is a way, again, for this not just to be something that children are learning at school with diversity, equity, and cultural relevancy, but this needs to be something that children are learning at home. So I love the fact that you all have, you know, taken a proactive measure in that and communicating that with other moms and making sure that that message spreads. So I think that is awesome, and I commend you all.
Absolutely. The work is so important. And I laughed inside when you said, I haven't had the reach that you guys have. And I thought, your reach is so much more. It's so much more. I can't even begin to explain how important that work is because, again, I'm a sister of 3 brothers. So when you talk about how important it is to get that message out, and your outreach, the scope of what you do is absolutely so significant in not just us as educators in school and teaching them what they need to learn in reading and writing and science and social studies, but in teaching them how to be respectful people who appreciate people no matter who they are, no matter what their difference is absolutely one of those things that has to happen. So as she could say, we applaud the work that you're doing. And appreciate the fact that that is something that you've taken on and are spearheading so that that happens, not just in South Carolina, but across our country and internationally.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Definitely. And our viewers have gotten to learn about a little bit about what you all and what you told them and what we've mentioned. But we always ask our guest what you are reading, just in case it's something that, you know, someone can gather something else from. And if you're not reading anything right now, that's fine. That's just understandable. Sometimes we do more writing or other things for self-care than reading. So I'll start, but I'm reading a social and emotional learning and the brain book because I'm a part of the MTSS process in our district. It's a very quick read, very great information. I encourage anyone wanting to learn more about SEL to pick it up. Very easy read. What about you all?
Right now, approximately every semester or once per year, I read the same. It's a go-to book for me. It's Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, and it's a Mayan belief brought. And I've had this done with book studies at the different schools that I've been at, and it talks about 4 ideas about always doing your best, of being impeccable with your words. Don't take things personal, and most importantly, don't assume. Those 4 things working in conjunction will help us all overcome the craziness that's out there right now. Because, you know, we don't know how people are feeling, and we cannot assume they're on the same level with us. So if someone takes something extremely to heart and we shrug it off, you know, we're assuming that they're at the same level with us emotionally on a topic. And when we do that, that creates conflict. And you know what? There's enough conflict out in the world right now. So it's a quick read. It's 114 pages. The book is this big. If I would have brought it if I would have told you. You would have told me. It's this big. It's a quick read. Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. And it's about things that we were domesticated with since we were young. And how some people, we always do it this way. Why don't you agree with me? Well, you know what? That's your book of laws. You were taught that way. But you know what? There's other ways of seeing the world. There's other perspectives. And if we're married to our ideas, that's where we're going to have conflict. And right now we have too many people married to their ideas, and no one's willing to budge.
I agree.
So I highly recommend The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a quick read, and just those 4 ideas, do your best. Be impeccable with your words. Don't take things personal, and don't make assumptions. Will help us become a better community.
I love that, Josh. And put that in the comments just in case anyone would like to pick that up. I'm interested in it myself.
Definitely.
Okay, so y'all are going to be shocked because I pulled this up while we were when we first started because I didn't know what direction we were going to go tonight, and there's so many things that are happening, you know, within the school systems, and like you were saying, Principal Taylor, you know, when you're talking about advocacy with Moms Against Racism, we have so many state chapters, and then we have our Canadian branch, and there are so many different directions that we decide to take in our advocacy areas here within the US and then in Canada, and it's unique in every place. And so it's very important that we are aware of what's going on in our backyards as well. So shockingly, what I've been reading more than anything, it stems from the 1619 Project with Dr. Hannah Jones, but specifically here in the state of South Carolina, we have bills that promote unconstitutional censorship in learning, right? So H6 4605, 4325, 4343. So I've been doing the boring reading. That's what they would call it, but it's necessary.
Yes.
And it's so important that we understand what we are facing on the in the legislative landscape of things and how that affects the systems and institutions that we are all involved in on a day-to-day basis. So I still would encourage, because a lot of people, these were on back order. Those of you that don't know, you know, Nicole Hannah Jones, Dr. Nicole Hannah Jones, in her book, The 1619 Project, please get it. You can get it on Amazon. I'm not too sure if you can, you know, do the, I'm one of those people, like, I'm on the go all the time. So Audibles really work for me. I'm not gonna spoil it for you because I can talk in this space all day. So I would say the 2 things: read legislation and how that affects you, as well as these awesome books that really explain how important it is for us to understand truth in education and our history. So I didn't mean to bore you though.
Oh no, it's definitely not boring.
Yeah, and I think it's really needful, like you said, because these people are making decisions about our future and the future of our kids. So it's really important to be abreast of what's happening there. I am, like Josh, reading, I'm on a reread, Carter Goodwin Woodson's The Miseducation of the Negro. I'm at the point where I'm writing on self-defining and self-naming. So I am revisiting that just to make sure that I can cohesively talk about it as I continue to write. So that's where I am.
You think Principal Cafela's ears are burning right now?
Oh, you know me. He would be proud, wouldn't he?
He would. Thank you all for sharing. And
I just want to
go
say,
ahead, Josh.
From an educator, Natasha, thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate that. I always tell my students that have a lot of adversity, when they come in and they're angry at their parents, I go, you know what? Number one, never disrespect your mom. Always love your mom, because there's no more powerful word in our dictionary, in our language, than those 3 letters, MOM. She brought you to the world, and she's always giving you advice. You heed her advice and you respect her. And I love that you're promoting that, Natasha, that you're having those communications, because right now there's a lot of disconnect between parents because of this. There's a lot. And I appreciate you being a powerful force, Natasha, as an educator. Keep on doing what you're doing, and you're having a voice in the legislature. Great job.
Absolutely. And I just echo Josh, Natasha, because you have been proactive and you have small boys. You have little ones. So you are really taking a proactive stance. And I mean, hats off to you.
Oh, thank y'all. Oh, listen, I need to invite y'all over to the house. All this love. I appreciate the same sentiments. Thank you.
Thank you. And you put your if you want to put it in the chat, the name of it, I'll put it in the comments if you're not logged on, and I can get it on. Oh, did we? Okay, there you are. And so right now, and Tammy and I just were approved, Create and Educate are approved Amazon influencers. So the books that you all are naming, we're going to put that on our Amazon storefront. So we'll be able to easily share what people are reading, and people will be able to access it through our storefront as Amazon influencers. So we're happy and excited about that. But we really hope you all enjoyed your Christmas break. And we know that, like Josh said, things are just crazy in the world. We just keep hearing about all of the numbers, all the variants going up. And there's a lot of anxiousness around children going back to school. Some of the educators are nervous. Some of the parents are nervous. Some of the parents are nervous about everyone going back virtual. I've seen some of those posts because, that just creates that, uncertainty around, where are the children going to go if I have to go to work? So there's so many things going on. And even in our home, my husband and I have debated back and forth, what is safer? What should we do? So Josh, tell us how things are going in Texas. I know that you all are returning or have returned in some capacity. What has happened and what parameters are in place to try to make people feel a little bit more comfortable?
Well, obviously, Corona might not exist in Texas, according to some people, because there are no mandates. All right, it is what it is, and I don't want to I don't want to walk down the path of red and blue. We've been open-ended since the start of this pandemic. It is what it is. This is Texas, so there's different philosophies, different politics, and even within Texas, there's blue and red counties. And so some already requiring masks to be worn in certain counties as compared to other. So I'm not here to discuss that. That is above my pay grade. That is other decisions. My job is one thing. Just like Principal Cafeles begins every session. He says, I chose leadership. I chose to be in this chair. And you always hear me talk about being in the chair. And so it's my job to make sure that I validate everybody's feelings, that I make them, and I understand one family might be okay, but another family might be all gloves, shield, and I need to be able to provide them with the best safe environment, because if they're not here mentally, they're not going to learn A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I need to make sure that they feel comfortable, the blue Linus blanket, when they walk in here. So in regards to Garland ISD, we're continuing on our same path that we had prior to Christmas, and right now we're in the middle of intercession. But when it comes down to Memorial Pathway Academy, it's one of those things that we have our precautions. We still have our plexiglass up. We have a lot of PPE. We're very blessed with our superintendent that has provided all the campuses with enough PPE. That's not an issue right there. Some teachers take advantage of it, some don't. So whatever they need, it's my job to make sure that I facilitate that ASAP. And if there's a student that feels ill, every morning in the morning announcements, I say, if you're sick, stay home. Don't bring it here. Don't bring it here. Just like Natasha, I've got little kids. I've got 3 young boys. And we all know this. Once one boy gets it, they all get it. They all get sick. So I remind our students, just call in sick. We'll take care of the work. We'll do whatever that is. But we're not at the virtual stage. But in the end, sitting in my chair, it's my job to make sure that I provide that comfort, communicate as much as I can via the district, via social media. And since we have 6 languages, if you see some of my posts, they're in all the languages that I service, in case those kids need to show their parents in their native language what is being said. So like I said, we have 6 different tongues being used here, and I promote it out in social media in all of the different languages. And in the end, you know what? There is no Sir Giovanni chapter 13 on how to deal with a pandemic.
Right.
There is nothing.
Mm-mm.
I believe what Jimmy Casas said. Jimmy Casas, when he was talking to Principal Cafele, he said, Corona has only revealed what your administration is. It has only unmasked it.
That's
So
true.
if things are going crazy, that's because they were already crazy before that. They just brought it to light. If things
That's
are
true.
going okay, it's what your administration has been. So us as leaders, Shika from central office, Tammy sitting in the chair that I sit in, it's one of those things is now that we have Corona out, how can we provide the blue linus blanket to everybody so they could feel comfortable? And I feel there's no chapter, there's no guideline, there is no blueprint. We're living it day by day for the last 2 years plus.
Exactly,
I
Josh.
love it, Josh. I love the fact that you are respecting people and their individuality. Like everybody doesn't respond to things the same way. And because everybody doesn't respond the same way, the way that you respond to them has to be unique and authentic, because you have those people who aren't going to shy away from anything that they've ever done, because, and I don't know that they think Corona doesn't exist, or they just I don't know what their thoughts are about that. But you also have those people who are coming in who look like they're entering into a hazmat situation. So you have to be that administrator who can appreciate those differences and respond respectfully to whatever that happens to look like, and just pray. As I saw Dr. Roz, we appreciate that, because I think that that is something that is definitely needed, that will try to keep everybody as safe as we possibly can, because that, to me, right now is as much as we can do.
Exactly. And as a parent, Natasha, I'm hoping she's coming back in. She must have had some connection issues. But as a parent, I've, even had to have some conversations with my children that, everyone doesn't have the same beliefs. Some people believe in wearing masks. Some people don't believe in wearing masks. Some people believe in getting the vaccine. Some people don't believe in getting the vaccine. The point is, you have to respect everyone's opinions or where they're coming from, their train of thought on it, but you do what you feel is best to keep yourself safe. And so, we've talked about, we think as a family, the safest thing is for us to continue to wear our mask. We think that, that has been working for us and has kept us safe. So we have conversations every day about the importance of wearing masks, and, just appropriate responses for if someone that doesn't believe in wearing a mask asks, well, why do you have on a mask? Then you'll know how to respond without it being a conflict. So now as parents, we're having to have a little bit, some different conversations about how to navigate this whole thing. Welcome back, Natasha.
One of the things I was going to say, Shika, that was
I thought that I could do a seamless transition there, but my phone temperature actually went bonkers. And it's like, girl, you doing too much. I was sharing all the pages and making sure they were all set up with Future First Education. It said, oh, no. So, but I'm here now. Thank you so much.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, Shika, in response to that, I'm thankful that you are having that conversation with the girls, because what I saw at the beginning of the year was this great divide, and it was whatever you were being taught at home, whatever that was, whatever the belief system at home was, is what you think the right thing is to do.
Of course.
If you don't do that, then you are wrong.
Right.
And the kids were really butting heads over, especially masks. I mean, there were a few other things, but masks were like this
huge divide for us. And I had to sit some of the kids down and say, whoa, listen, guys, this isn't even debatable. This is what we are doing, and this is what's expected.
Right.
So here's how we have to get through this. But I think that having those conversations and parents being proactive, like you just described, will lead to us being able to appreciate and respect the differences in each other. And we're glad you're back, Natasha, because I wanted to just ask, because it's kind of that same question that we asked Josh. What kind of things are you doing right now to just make sure your boys are emotionally okay with everything that's going on around them?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're at that stage where it's not terrible twos or terrible threes. It's terrible whatever day we're on. So with the good thing is one always mimics the other. And so I really do make sure that if I'm going to teach something to one of my boys, I teach it to the eldest, and then I know that the youngest will follow suit. Our school, that right now they're Montessori school, so it's an option for them to choose whether or not they want to wear a mask. And for me, we have these two Spider-Man masks. They're so cute. And they're in the car and they'll put them on. So I try to make it fun. And then I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I was really challenged with my youngest because he was 3 at the time. And he did not want to keep that mask on his face. Whereas as soon as I walked in the house, I stripped down because I was worried, that I was bringing germs in the house, and I had double mask. I mean, I was doing all the things. But with him, I had to make it fun for him. And we did like the whole Halloween mask in July with a mask up under it. Little things, and emotionally explaining to them and taking time to ask them questions to see where they are. That's happening around them. Again, I'm dealing with a 4 and 5-year-old, so I have a little bit of limitation when it comes to them expressing themselves. But I do know that they're very, very strong-willed. See everyone else doing something, they want to know why are they doing it, and I'm not doing it.
Right.
Impressionable at this age.
Yes. And I have 2 very strong-willed young ladies, 2 daughters. They're 7 and 10. So my thing with them is just making sure, and they probably get some of this strength from mommy. My 7-year-old, I have to rein her in a little bit. She was getting her hair done at the salon. And so she looked at the stylist and said, "Did you use sanitizer?" And I'm like, okay, so yeah, that's not how we talk to people. But yeah, we do want to make sure we're safe though. So they're really have bought into the safety of wearing masks. So my thing with them is just toning them down a little bit around it, because mommy is a germaphobe, so they get that from me. So this is January, and of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Observance is fast approaching, and we know that, schools will be observing this. So we just wanted to get some insights from you, Josh, about how your school, if you're planning anything, and we know, Natasha, that you have some things planned for the community. So just wanted to hear what your plans are, and we'll start with you, Josh.
Have been, for lack of a better term, an international school, I feel that sitting in my chair, it's my job to make sure that I promote a lot of what their ethnic background is. You see, these are kids that just left Afghanistan. They're kids that just left Ethiopia. It's kids that just left El Salvador and Honduras. It's my job to keep on promoting those kind of successful people of influence that they could connect to and relate to. And so I always make it a point to make sure that I highlight that. Our theme for this year is going for the gold, go for the gold. And every day I try to promote something, and I try to connect it to one of their countries. The United States also, obviously, because now this is their new country, kind of like me. I came from another country. I came from Mexico. I'm a naturalized citizen. And so part of that is they need to learn what their new country will offer them. A poor kid from another country could become a principal of a high school. So there's a lot of beautiful things that can happen in this beautiful country, as long as we make sure that we don't forget where we came from and also acknowledge what we have before us. So in regards to Martin Luther King, it has to go beyond the "I have a dream" speech.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but you know what? In some parts, you're lucky if you get that. You're lucky if you get that. So you just have to have somebody within the educational system that is aware of what their population is. Just like Principal Cafela says, even if you have one student of color, you need to make sure that you attend trainings that have to do with students of color, so that you can connect with them, so that you understand that. So in regards to that upcoming holiday, it's always breaking down different events. We've in the past at the campus here, we've broken that down in different languages. His speech, we put it up there on the screen during lunchtime, and we break it down into chunks and pieces, because that is very deep. Just even if you do the "I have a dream" speech, it's very deep, and that's a university course in itself, that one speech, with all the genesis of the thought process that he created and brought to the table to that day in Washington, D.C. So for us at Memorial Pathway Academy is making sure, number one, that the kids from Afghanistan, the kids from Ethiopia, they need to know who Martin Luther King is,
Right.
and what his message was, and how he was tied to Gandhi from India, and the whole idea of the peaceful movement. See, that could go into so many different ways. So for us, it's just laying the seed of knowledge and making sure that we keep on carrying it out throughout the year. That's why it's going gold for the gold, because you just don't forget. When you're training for the Olympics, you just don't train one day. You just don't train 1 month. You keep on training the muscle over and over. So we'll be bringing this up. Like I tell the kids, Thanksgiving is not a week, guys. Thanksgiving is not a day with turkey or ham or whatever your family eats. Thanksgiving is year round. We need to be grateful for the things that we have, that we even have running water, that we have electricity, that we have a toilet inside of the house. We take things for granted. If someone picks up our garbage once per week and gets rid of it, that's a luxury. So we need to be thankful for those things. And you know what? Great men like Martin Luther King is one of those people that we need to keep on shining the spotlight on his dedication, his hard work, and his leadership for uniting not only the Black community, but all community, understanding that, you know, what's happening to us is not appropriate. It's not right. And we can only advance the true idea of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, is by being equal. And so that's one of the things that I feel that we should do at Memorial Pathway Academy.
That's awesome. Awesome work, Josh.
So exciting. And Natasha, we know that you have a major community event coming up in observance of Dr. King's holiday. Tell us about it, and let us know how people can get involved.
Okay, sure. So, wow, Principal Tovar, you just had my brain going in so many directions. That was so fulfilling. And you're absolutely right. You know, a lot of people, they think that this is a sprint, but it's definitely a marathon when it comes to digesting history and who we are as a people and as a nation. And so this event in particular that's happening here in York County, South Carolina, where I live, it was an inspiration to myself and 2 other community organizers last year, that it just dawned on us that, hey, you know, there's really not a lot for kids to do. Number one, during Black History Month, as well as surrounding Dr. King's, you know, the MLK Day celebration that we have on this year, the 17th. And except for cleanup and, you know, neighborhood cleanups and a lot of ways for them to do a day of service. And so we wanted it to be educational. So we came up with I Dream Week for kids and teens. And it's educating kids through history. So what I love about what we started and established last year was we wanted to make sure that the kids, we would meet them where they are, and they would not only regurgitate the information, but they would enjoy it. It's so important that we focus on the positive and not just the negative. This is America's history, and Dr. King was very clear about us uniting and making sure that everything that we do it linked arm in arm and with our brothers and our sisters. And although we were oppressed as a people, there was so much beauty surrounding the growth and the strides that we were taking during the civil rights movement. And I feel like sometimes that's not necessarily acknowledged enough during Black History Month, as well as Dr. King Hall. We understand that, you know, all of the letters from Birmingham jail, you got me there, Principal Tovar. You're right. It is like college curriculum, you know, to the umpteenth. So much to digest, and he was so multifaceted. But this particular event, we bring it down to the kids' levels and let them do it, hands-on experiences. So we kick off with the MLK Parade, which is happening this coming Saturday in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is the 4th largest city in the state of South Carolina. We have a lot of community development here on the south side of our city. And so we wanted to make sure that we place this parade in the heart of Crawford, on Crawford Road. And it's not just a parade like where you're thinking about the floats and all the cars and the businesses. We really want them to understand the historical significance behind marching, because a lot of our kids were thrown into all of this social injustice movement last year with chaos surrounding why people were exercising their First Amendment right, and how they were doing it was being scrutinized and challenged, and people were beaten and people were taken to jail. And so a lot of just emotion and negative feelings were surrounding such a powerful movement that worked for my ancestors crossing the Selma Bridge, during the civil rights movement, in solidarity and in peace and solemnness. And so I want kids, my kids and your kids, to understand that marching absolutely has power, and you should exercise your First Amendment right, and you can do it when done correctly. And how that is done is very, very important. And so we want that to be something that's at the forefront of our march. So we'll have a closing ceremony and teach them that after we have so many kid organizations, dancers and cheer squads and football. We have a grand marshal who is Ivory Latta, WNBA basketball player that grew up in York, South Carolina, is our grand marshal. And then the junior grand marshal is one of our city's football teams, all the kids. And they're going to really have a good time, but also have education that's backed by why they're doing what they're doing that day. And then there are just series of other events that are leading up to Black History Month. We're having a cooking class at Mado Bakery, which is a French bakery here. It's a Black-owned French bakery. And so the kids are going to learn how to make macaroons. It's so important that our kids embrace cultural competency. And sometimes that requires us bringing that here, especially when you can't travel during a pandemic, right? Or you shouldn't be, so they say. And if you are, then you're having the whole mass challenge, all the risks, right? So there are experiences that we can bring to our backyard based on our travels, right? And based on the things that we've done as adults, and how we can really help them to understand some of the differences that we have and to appreciate that. So the cooking class for kids and teens, we do have a day of service where they'll kick off a vision board, and then they'll go out into it's Freedom Park that's here in Rock Hill. We have like 13 parks, so many parks to choose from. But last year we collected 13 bags of trash. And the kids were so excited because they were cleaning up a neighborhood that they had no idea, that they had those challenges to be able to. The roads weren't paved enough for the garbage man to get down there. And so it was very important for them to see some of the challenges some of those smaller neighborhoods were having. And as well as just that civic engagement, we had kids that wrote letters to our city councilmen and women that thanked them for their service. So Day of Service isn't just necessarily about cleaning up, but giving thanks as well. And so that entire experience, 10 days, and it's something I'm looking forward to And so thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. You can go online to idreamweek.com. Also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. What's awesome is that we kicked this off here, and then this year we're doing scavenger in our neighboring Moms Against Racism state chapters. So in Kansas City, they're going to do a community scavenger hunt of historical mile markers of Black significant locations throughout their cities. And what will happen is you'll get a passport around your city, and you have up until I forget what day in February to turn it in for an awesome opportunity for you and your family to win a basket of goodies from our sponsors. And so there are so many ways that we can educate and have fun together and do it safely and COVID safe. And that's one of them. Just thinking outside of the box. There's no reason why we can't embrace our history and do it in such a meaningful and impactful way for our kids. So thanks so much for letting me go on that spiel. It's so much. That was a lot. Yeah, check it out online.
And I put it in the comments. All of that sounds phenomenal. Natasha, I love the fact that you are educating around what the parade and the history of marching and why that's important and how to do it correctly, because those are the types of knowledge and education that our children need. Sometimes we have the activity, we have the experience, but we don't know why. So I think that is so phenomenal that you all have done this, and you've planned it. And I will be there with my daughters. And Tammy and I also have some books that we'll donate to you all as well for your baskets. So
definitely. And we just have to say how I think impactful it's going to be, just educating kids on the power of standing in solidarity, because they are totally not getting the togetherness, because we're so much better together. It's just not being cultivated. So I think it's going to be quite impactful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll also give you the names of the marketing directors, and you may have them already for at least York and Chester counties, where they can disseminate your flyer to all of the parents, all of the schools, so that can help get the word out.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because the CDC had us all, in just disarray, trying to figure out, do we do it this year or do we don't do it? So we're our organizers, Miss Tanetta Moore and Sherry Phillips and Megan Wetzel with MAR. We've just said, you know what, we're just going to do it. We've been doing everything else all year. We're going to mask up. The kickoff is outside, so we can social distance. You can stay with your family units. And then there are self-paced activities like the scavenger hunt. You can go out with your family and do that over a course of a month. We do have a TikTok challenge that's happening. So we're trying, for those of you that are still very, very precautious, understanding, our challenges, there are still ways that you can participate. So thank you so much for that. Send me that information so I can send that information out to them.
I will do that, definitely. Well, it has come to that time. Thank you all so much for joining us. We could not have had two better guests, and you all have provided phenomenal information to everyone that's viewing now and people that's going to end up going back to watch it. So many great ideas that they can incorporate. And I love that you all both stated that, these types of observances and things that we're celebrating around culture and making sure that children know their culture is not a 1 day, 1 month thing, but this is an all year thing that we have to do. And you have to be intentional when you're a school leader to know everyone that is represented in your building and make sure that they see images of themselves in your building, in books, in the curriculum. That is something that you definitely have to be intentional about. And that is a great premise behind the work that Tammy and I do frequently with schools and leaders.
Definitely. And Josh, you are really rocking that, making sure that your students are exposed to their cultures that they're coming from as you are acclimating them to being in America. So
kudos to both of you guys for the work you're doing.
Yes. And so we are going to end. We normally have story time, but because we are now promoting our story time partners, we will, for the next 2 Tuesdays, instead of there being a collaborative story time, we're promoting our partners, which is Storytime with Miss McGriff, Storytime with Miss Pat, Reading with Miss Pat, as well as Reading with Carrie Lee and Reading with Mr. LaMotta. They have phenomenal Storytime platforms and we support them. So we will be promoting them the next 2 weeks. And this is a book by a young lady. She's a young entrepreneur. I love myself. This is a coloring book of positive self-affirmations. Tammy and I talked about this on our broadcast on Saturday with Saturday PD. It's never too early to start positive affirmations, especially with children, and under SEL, this falls under self-awareness. So make sure that if your child is pre-K through second grade, this will be a great book for them to build their self-esteem. I love myself. You can't love anyone else unless you learn how to love yourself. So that's something we have to teach children to make sure that they're doing, by us as parents providing positive affirmations to them, but for them to learn how to have their own positive self-talk, the things that they're saying to themselves in their minds. We have to teach them how to do that and model that for them. So that is a book you can pick up on Amazon, and we'll put this on our storefront on our Amazon influencers page. If you have not picked up a copy of our book, it doesn't have to be lonely at the top. You can visit our website. It outlines our journey as leaders, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as well as what it's been like to lead during the pandemic. Our work centers around maintaining and building resilient schools as well as organizations. So if you need any information about SEL or our free SEL resource, we are also partners with Dr. Gil Nome from Pear Inc., who, if you can see at the bottom, Pear Inc. and EduMonitor are one of our premier sponsors, but he received a grant. He is an associate professor from Harvard Medical School. He wrote a grant to give out the 10 Big Bets exclusively on our platform and have partnered with us because he believes in the work that we're doing. So if you are a school leader and you would like a free copy of the 10 Big Bets, it really goes into great detail about how to cultivate a culture of belongingness for children, especially during this time of the pandemic. And there are some other free resources that goes along with that we will email and mail out to you. So if you go to our website, www.createandeducate.solutions, fill out the contact form, and you are a school leader or on the school leadership team, we will get you a copy of that book mailed out to you, sponsored by Dr. Gil Nome and Pear Inc. And lastly, for the next episode of the collaborative, we will be back on the 1st of February, the first Tuesday in February. And because the pandemic has caused some gaps in learning, or, just because of the format changing, and we don't like to say learning loss because you can't lose what you never learned. So, there may be some gaps in learning. We do have phenomenal resources by EduMonitor. I have been working in these resources with my daughter specifically for math. We have pre-K through 5th grade resources for math, and they are completely aligned with the Common Core math curriculum, or those of you that are modeled similarly off of Common Core for math. My daughter loves the workbooks, just the fact that she's not on the computer, but actually writing. So she will actually get the book and, Mommy, let's do math. So that's what we'll do. And her teacher noticed, wow, what are you doing with Bella with math? She's really advancing along the other kids. And it's because we had been practicing, because we knew that was an area she needed to work on due to her being virtual and kind of having some gaps there. So if you need those resources, you can also fill out the contact form on our website and let us know what grade level, and we'll get you the information about the cost of those books. They're very affordable and have really been beneficial with me.
Super high quality.
Yes, very high quality. And lastly, if you would, if you're an educator or a parent, we are hosting our Real Academy on Saturdays, a part of the PLN network, the Fabulous Five, as Josh calls us. That is Saturdays at 10:30. We are on right after Principal Hurt, right before Principal Kafele, and this PLN of great information ends on Sunday with Unlock the Middle. Our featured guest, Josh, is one of those members of Unlock the Middle, along with Dean and Chris. So we hope you all have a great rest of your break if you haven't started back to school yet, or if you have started back, we hope that you stay safe and that you are practicing everything that needs to be practiced in order to remain safe. So thank you all for joining us.
In this new year.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much, and hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Bye-bye.
Joshika and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The collaborative.
What's that time?
On Facebook, Tuesday at 7.